Exciting news this morning from the Better Business Bureau, which announces that Florida State football has received its highest ever rating, thanks in part to the school's very generous return policy.
And we speak with Tai Chi expert Kevin Sumlin on his brand new stretch called the Aggie Offense. The key is to move very slowly. It's time to wake up, college football! Welcome to week 8 of Wake Up College Football. My name is Dan. Joining me as usual, Ryan Nanny, and it was a fun week 8 unless you were a top 10 team or a very specific top 10 teams.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think you didn't have the best day.
No, probably not. But it was a week that we didn't anticipate a ton of huge matchups. Only one ranked matchup, but it was real fun.
It got weird at the end.
It did get very weird at night. To you, and we're going to get to all of the late weirdness and the upsets, but to you, what was the single most awesome thing that you took away from the week?
It's probably not the biggest headline, but I think what Ohio State did on the road at Rutgers in a perplexingly primetime slot was super impressive. They basically shut Rutgers out. Rutgers gets a meaningless touchdown near the end of the game. And what we've been looking for all year from Ohio State is offensive balance. Zeke Elliott is great, has been great all year, was great in this game.
Yep.
But JT Barrett finally given the starting role, no more of this sort of back and forth that we've seen with the Buckeyes all season. He took total advantage of it. Over 300 offensive yards, 5 total touchdowns, 2 of them on the ground. This is what Ohio State needed to show the world is that, yeah, we stumbled early, but when we get this machine moving, it is dangerous and it will rip your hands off if you try to get too close to it.
Yeah, and this is an Ohio State offense that is built for a quarterback like JT Barrett and can succeed at times, and it was a good bit of a run last year with Oregon and Alabama and Wisconsin, but it was built for JT Barrett and it showed against Rutgers.
Just runs the read option so well.
Absolutely. All right, my awesome thing, Ole Miss this week. The only ranked matchup between Ole Miss and Texas A&M in Oxford. They come out and they are excellent on both sides. And Chad Kelly, not perfect, actually nowhere near perfect, but makes enough big throws to keep Texas A&M and their defense, which has been very good and continued to show a lot of good things tonight, pretty honest. But it was on the ground that Ole Miss succeeded. It was on defense, even without Robert Condice and Tony Connor. So the fact that Ole Miss could get back to looking like Ole Miss a week after the Memphis game was telling, because this is still a team that, they haven't played LSU, but they control their destiny in the SEC West. And to me, that is at least big that Hugh Freeze can get this group regrouped and beat a good team like Texas A&M.
Yeah, Texas A&M probably not feeling like a very good team right now, though.
Right.
Just because at quarterback they continue to make
huge questions,
bonehead decisions.
They hand the ball to other teams.
They hand the ball right over to you.
To you, what were you not expecting? I'm going to assume something fun here.
Utah lost to USC, and if you looked at the odds for this game, that result in and of itself was not necessarily a surprise. It was surprising that they got beaten so badly, and that they did so because not just that USC has better athletes at certain positions than Utah, but Utah was very sloppy in this game, had 4 turnovers, did not execute when they needed to, especially in the second half. USC, on the other hand, the team that often, doesn't play disciplined football, makes stupid mistakes, they were pretty much mistake-free. They didn't turn the ball over. They only had 5 penalties. They stepped up and really showed that they can play together in a very smart way. And when USC has those athletes doing what they're supposed to do and not improvising and not getting silly penalties, they're still a very, very dangerous team.
Yeah, and even though USC did not have a good day special teams-wise, defensively, without Adoree Jackson back there, Cameron Smith, the linebacker, comes in, gets 3 picks.
Yeah.
Not a bad day.
Not at all.
All right, to me, what I was not expecting, Georgia Tech, with a losing record. Coming in.
What, have they lost 5 straight games?
They have lost many. They were 2-5 going into this game. Florida State, an atrocious first half. They're bad on third downs. They're bad in the red zone, but should still be good enough to beat a flailing Georgia Tech team. So they go for the long field goal at the end, and my God, it's hard to prepare for a moment like this.
It is.
But for Georgia Tech to come back with Lance Austin, run the ball the length of the field pretty much, about 60, 70 yards, and to win in dramatic fashion like that. A win with Georgia Tech running all over Florida State would have been unexpected, but for it to happen like this, my God.
Yeah, and I mean, Georgia Tech kind of on the defensive side of the ball, which had not been a strength of theirs all year, made Florida State look pretty elementary at points.
Yep. They forced the first Florida State turnover this season. Yeah. So it was incredible to see Georgia Tech bounce back from the depths that they were.
From several depths.
They keep
bouncing down the basement stairs, but not today.
No. What was the most meaningful thing that you took away from Week 8?
Oklahoma has bounced, speaking of bounce backs, has bounced back so nicely from that Texas loss.
They have.
They blew out K-State on the road. They turned around and demolished a Texas Tech team that has, given good teams problems. It's beaten Arkansas. It's gave TCU all it could handle. And most impressively, I think they are starting to get everybody on track.
Yes.
Last week, it was the passing game with Baker Mayfield. This week, it was Samaje Perine.
Finally.
Who, has not looked good this season. Just has looked like a shadow of the super impressive back we saw. But this week, he finally got it going, got a lot of work on the ground, made a lot of hay out of that work. They still have a couple of off weeks where they play the bottom of the Big 12.
Right.
They still, at the end, have to play Baylor, TCU, Oklahoma State. Right now, though, it would be foolish to just dismiss Oklahoma from either the Big 12 or the playoff picture out of hand. They are looking like they are finding some answers on offense when they really needed to.
Yeah, it's funny that in 2015, hitting rock bottom means losing to Texas.
Yeah.
That's when you're like, what has happened to us?
What is going on to us?
Oh, I need to wake up. I need to go to a therapist.
Yeah.
And it's just Texas.
Sorry,
but
that was like inadvertent Kansas State shade we threw there.
But that's where we are right now as well. All right, my thing is Clemson right now. With Florida State going down, it becomes all that more meaningful that Clemson look impressive if they are going to potentially represent the ACC in a 4-team playoff at the end of the year. And I would say they looked impressive in completely shellacking a Miami team who will have a new coach next season.
Yes.
I think it's fair to say.
Yes.
But this is still a Miami team that is talented in a number of positions. They are, these are players that are being recruited by Florida and Florida State actively, and the bottom just completely fell off. Speaking of rock bottom, this is it for Miami. And Clemson should be given its due credit because on both sides of the ball, they were terrific. Their defense has been good all year. Deshaun Watson was excellent. Wayne Gallman on the ground. The ball was spread out everywhere, but this was over pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, the worst loss in Miami history.
Yes.
Dabo Swinney should just get a job as like a recruiter or a job placement counselor. He'll just, coaches call him. He'll say, "Don't worry, this Miami job is going to be open pretty soon."
Yep.
I know a guy.
Yeah. He should, absolutely. It was a fun week.
It was. Unless, again, you were
a top 10 team and you lost in either demolishing or heartbreaking fashion.
Unless you're Alabama, though. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. That's the lesson here. Thank you for watching. His name is Ryan Nanny. My name is Dan Rubenstein. We'll see you next week.